What's going on, everybody? This is D from the Speaking Boldly Sports Podcast, and I'm just reacting. We'll do a reacting video to ESPN, and the title of this video, shoot, forget what the ESPN talking about. They're talking about Josh Allen, and I'm just talking about and him being ranked number one um, as a number one QB based off like top 10 quarterbacks list that executives did. They did this poll. They're going to share the list that the executives had, and I'm just reacting to it. Some things I did watch the video earlier, and I was just watching this watch it. I didn't plan on doing a video, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to react to this video because nonsense, man, nonsense. I understand opinion if you have Josh Allen as like your guy, number one quarterback. As fans, as executives, people have their right to your opinion, but outside of that, opinion is opinion. Some of the things that I think on the panel was one of the McCourty twins, Stephen A. Let me just play the video. Let's get going on it. Let's get going. All right, so I'm gonna pause it here and there. See the list: Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow, LJ, Dak, Justin Herbert, Drake May, Jared Goff, Caleb Williams. Side note: I have a video dropping about my top 10 quarterbacks, and I'm basing it off last season solely. That's how I like to do my list. To really think that's fair to every quarterback, because all these 10 guys just here on this list, all of them are in different areas of their career. You got three guys going on in their third year, you guys going on their 10th year, guys going in on their fifth year. And everybody's not equal with accomplishments and things they've done just based off tenure in the league, whatever the case may be. But this is the list. Just real quick, Josh Allen for me will not be number one. Joe Burrow will not be top five. I will have Matthew Stafford one. I'll probably put Josh Allen at four. For me, I'll have Lamar Jackson at three and Pat Mahomes at two. Off bat, and then I don't mind Dak at six. I would not have Justin Herbert on this list at all. I would have at eight. I would have Sam Darnold. At 10, I would have Drake May. I would probably move Jared Goff up to 7, and then I would either add Brock Purdy or Jalen Hurts somewhere at that final spot. But that's just on the whim right there. Me just talking out. Yeah, no way I have Justin Herbert. This is just a straight talent list. I don't know what they base these when they ask the executives and coaches and scouts what the basis of. Is it just your guys you like, or all they're looking at? His talent is unbelievable, Justin Herbert, but he's the only quarterback on this list that hasn't been to playoffs twice, maybe 3 times, but for sure twice, and has won at least one playoff game. And I think the bar for certain quarterbacks are just so low, and then the expectations for other ones are so high. It's not even. It's not fair at all. So it's like that's the one thing. Like when we talk about this discussion with quarterbacks, it's like there needs to be a bar. There needs to be a standard across the board. When we discuss this, I know that's not the case, but that's just what I would do. That's just my personal opinion. Let's keep it moving. Just real quick, Mahomes, understand down your ACL, past few years haven't been the best. Been to 5 Super Bowls, won 3. As far as his receiving core, I love the defense and have there. I will say they just need to update like tight end position, update the D tackle position, as far as like where you have Chris Jones, you have Travis Kelce, definitely update receiver positions. Rasheed Rice doesn't seem reliable, and definitely get some more weapons around. I feel like all these quarterbacks in the NFL period, but on the top 10 list, they need weapons. It's like team game, so that's definitely necessary. But they gotta continue to build around Pat if you're going to continue to be the guy and keep the offensive line together. That's been an issue with the two of his Super Bowl losses was the lack of O-line, or the lack of talent, or lack of play, whatever the case was, injuries. Definitely got to keep investing in there, which I know they did address that in the draft to a degree. Defense is gonna be terrible when they on short fields. Like, what are we talking about? You have 4 turnovers. You're putting them in a great position. Yeah, defense go be bad. What are we talking about? Missed passes, overthrown passes, fumbles. I'm trying to blame Brandon Cook for the one. interception that happened in that game, but it was an underthrown ball. Like, give me a break. They be, they capping for it. Can't think of another athlete that got this much cap from the media. That's wild.
Mahomes.
And I agree, Mac, on that point. Like I already said before, I probably have Sam Darnold at 8, Drake May at 10, Jared Goff will probably be at 7. Then I make if I'm taking off Justin Herbert, Jared Goff at 7, Sam Darnold at 8. I might keep Caleb Williams on there. Like I said, I'm either adding Purdy or I'm adding Hurts for sure. And I said Joe Burrow. Dang, it's hard for me. Like, yeah, that's another discussion on this. But yeah, Sam Darnold has to be on this list because when Jalen Hurts won his Super Bowl, you had like Eagles fans. I'm using him for an example. Top five quarterback, And I personally, when I'm doing these rankings, I view Super Bowls, getting to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. That's a team accomplishment. So yes, Pat Mahomes has been to 5 Super Bowls, won 3. We know he was a big part of those. Matthew Stafford, when he won his 1 Super Bowl so far, hopefully they can, we'll be mad if they won again this upcoming season. But it does move guys up in those rankings. Like I say, I'll probably have Lamar at 3, Matthew at 1. I personally have Josh at 4. Probably move Joe to 5, maybe 6, maybe trade him and Dak, something like that. But I understand. I think accomplishments like the championships, like MVPs, first team All Pros, second team All Pros, plus your individual play does have to come into play. That's why it's hard for me to look at Jalen Hurts, and I watch a lot of Eagles, not just when they play the Cowboys. I'm a Cowboys fan for sure, but in him as an individual playing that position, I know there's a lot of factors that goes into play. It just hasn't consistently been there for me to put him in the top 10. Like, it's hard. It's hard. If you have to go on the back of a team accomplishment where when y'all did get to the Super Bowl, you were getting carried. I say team game, but it's like I can't just put you over, a Joe Burrow just because you was on a Super Bowl winning team. So it's like you can say there's different arguments for different guys where they are. And it's not clear cut across the board. I will say that as far as when you're doing legit rankings and looking at everything, but we have to be, I think, fair and logical in some of this. Like, I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan. If I was starting a franchise, hey, I'm trying to get Lamar Jackson. But when we're talking about this list, I'm not gonna put him number 1. He'll definitely be top 5 for sure. For me, top 3. For me, top 3. And that's, my own bias, my own personal preference for sure. But Sam, SD got to be on here. SD got to be on here. Let's continue. That's why I say super important when you're doing any top 10 list. Like, listen to your criteria with these rankings so people understand your logic behind it. Because I think that was a Cam Newton. He did his. I know you talk about clutchness, accomplishment, tenure, and it was like 2 other things. Those were like 3 of maybe the 5. I think I'm missing 2. But he listed out how he determined these rankings. I think maybe that's was one I can't remember, but he listed out the criteria, and I think that's so helpful when you're doing that because then okay, based off the criteria that you're grading this on, determining this list. Okay, I see why you made that decision, but I don't know what this list, how these executives and scouts and coaches, how they determine. It was just, he has not been amazing in the playoffs. He's been amazing in the wild card. The divisional round is so-so, and y'all keep bringing up the 13 seconds, and that was back in 2021, I believe that game was. But yet we are still, certain social media members will still bring up Lamar Jackson's failures throughout his playoff career. But we want to bring up Josh Allen's his great moments. You know what I'm saying? The 13 seconds from 2021. So from 5 years ago. That's crazy. But we don't want to bring up the most recent blunders that he had in this most recent playoff game. This mess is backwards, yo. Brother, so let me let him keep talking. Sorry. I'm sorry. So he just listed off, Stephon Diggs, Brandon Cooks, catch, not catch, a missed field goal, all these different things, right? All those things are true. What about them 4 turnovers in the most recent playoff game? Talk about how the ball was underthrown to Brandon Cooks and he had to wait for the ball with Mr. Strong Arm Josh Allen. I'm just like, but then when people make the claim, Mark Andrews should have caught the 2-point conversion like 2 years ago in the division round versus the Bills. Certain people are quick to then be like, well, they should have never been in that position to begin with. Lamar Jackson should have never had 2 turnovers in the first half. It's a football game. It's sports. Things happen. It's not about how you start, it's how you finish. So the double talking, the making an excuse for this person but not this person, I find it very interesting. I find it very interesting. I look at it as being short-sighted. I look at it as being not fair. When you're having these type of discussions, it's very, very telling. Very telling, in my opinion. Oh, the other one, real quick. Well, they still had to, even if he had caught it, the Bills still had time on the clock to come and do something. Which is, true. We don't know what would have happened. But there's been a lot of times where I've not seen Josh Allen be clutch when it matters. I don't know if he really got that clutch gene. We saw him versus the Chiefs, not this past season, year before. When they was running them darn on that 4th down. It was controversial where that was a first down on a little tush push, little QB sneak joint. Didn't get it. We go play by defense for the Chiefs. But I'm just saying, in times where, as the offense, y'all have to have it. Ooh, excuse me. Coming up short. That was the cap MVP. All these darn caveats, bro. Come on now. Wasn't even first team All Pro that year. Sorry for the pauses. Wasn't even first team All Pro. How you win MVP? Come on, bro.
J Mac said, where's the superstar that he's throwing the ball to? Okay? Khalil Shakur.
You asked Stephon Diggs. Why didn't y'all get it done? Got the coach fired. If anything, McDermott should have been fired after the whole 13-second debacle. That would have been the perfect time to fire him. Like, my gosh. This is ridiculous, man.
Play.
I want to say this. I will say when I look at quarterbacks, yes, you have some that can run, you have some that can't. But what do they all have in common? They all can throw. They all do it different with throwing. They all have different type of arms, yada, yada, yada. But some of the same things apply. Processing, being able to read a defense, knowing where you're trying to get the ball, knowing who's hot, knowing where the ball should go. Something they all should be able to do at playing the position. I think being a runner is an addition to. That shouldn't be the sole focus, in my opinion, when I'm grading these guys. Like to kind of put them all on an even playing field. I say that's an addition to, hey, can run. Ooh, that's what's up. The fact that everybody's situation is different. So, you want to give credit, to Josh Allen for that was a narrative, doing more with less, which is cool. That's fair. After Stephon Diggs left, cool. With that same grace and that same topic or narrative wasn't given to Lamar Jackson, who had been doing more or less since he came into the league. And I'm going to keep using Lamar Jackson as an example because he is graded on he has a different bar than everybody else. Period. Than every other quarterback, he has a different bar that he's graded on. He has to be perfect. Lamar Jackson is Jerron Boots Ennis of the NFL, and Jerron Boots Ennis is the boxing equivalent of Lamar Jackson when it comes to media criticism. You have to be darn near perfect to get proper media coverage, to get proper to be talked about fairly. So that's my thing with that. For sure, for sure. So yeah, everybody's situation is different. He got with Sean McVay, but for years he was with Detroit, and nobody was thinking of him. Oh, he could throw the ball, great talent. He won. He may be considered the top 10 quarterback here and there, but so I'm not. It is what it is. People like to downplay on the Bills. They love to downplay the talent of this team. Understand they don't have a name at receiver. You have two great tight ends. Shakir to me has always been a go-to blanket for Josh Allen. Yeah, he is maybe more of a slot guy, but to me he's always making plays. Let's not act like I'll say the talent at the skill position, especially at receiver, compared to what the Ravens had in Lamar's first MVP run. You had Hollywood Brown, but it's not necessarily comparable. Just looking at the talent, I would like to say this talent wise as a whole. Maybe you may say maybe at the receiver position, maybe middle of the pack, give or take. But at the same time, based off this past season, 25-26 season, there was guys open. There was guys open that 17 didn't hit. Yeah, 17 couldn't get the ball to. And I'm not talking about him having people in his face, line breaking down. You got one of the top tier offensive lines in the league. You got one of the premier running backs in the league. And James Cook, led the league in rushing. So let's not act like he's the only thing on offense. That's where it kind of gets to. After they lost versus it was a couple games after they lost versus the Broncos. You had certain media platforms, podcasts. He needs more help. You don't have enough help. Certain games they lost during the regular season. He needs more help. Don't have enough help. Nobody told y'all to draft. What's old boy? I see his face. The receiver out of Florida State. Darn it. I went blank on his face. Nobody told y'all to draft him. Y'all got DJ Moore, who was nice. I think that's a nice piece. That may be the piece they need if they make it to the bowl. That'd be good for them. I ain't gonna hate on that, but Josh Allen, boy, is favored by the Lord. I'm sorry, is favored by the media.
Allen can make.
I am. And that's why I say with these lists, you got to list out criteria. Yes, based off last season, I'm putting Matthew Stafford over Pat Mahomes, because Pat Mahomes, even before his injury, unfortunately, he wasn't playing well, the team wasn't playing well. There's only I can look at that season last year and be like, yeah, Pat Mahomes was a top 5 quarterback. No way I can do that. Josh Allen, he had a good season, for sure. He always has good seasons, regular season. He plays well in the playoffs. I'm not down on his talent and his accomplishments. He is an MVP. But to me, he's not the number one quarterback. I think media wants him to be the number one quarterback. Can you make an argument for it? Yes. To me, Matthew Stafford is correct choice, the valid choice, the logical choice. It makes sense. I don't know even how you even get, based off last season, how anybody else could really be. Who else you would put in that number one spot based off how the season went? That's just me. That would make more sense if you tried. Well, you couldn't even do that, but make the argument for Josh Allen during his MVP season. But darn it, he wasn't even the best quarterback. Lamar Jackson was. If we're just looking purely at stats and the records he broke that particular, he was first team All Pro. I'm just like, but hey, we all have a bias. But that was my reaction. Shout out to ESPN. It is what it is. I'm out of here, man. Y'all be easy.